The LG C4 OLED, as well as the previous and follow-up C-Series OLEDs, are excellent displays that are great for people looking for high-quality TV, movies, and gaming. While all new TVs come with default settings meant to cater to the lowest quality content, LG makes it really easy to have it look right. In fact, simply setting it to filmmaker mode takes care of almost everything you'd need for TV and movies, which is great since doing the same thing used to require many steps on older TVs. Let me show you an example of what I mean. When in the default mode, there's some crazy interpolation and 3:2 pulldown happening, but when sent to game or filmmaker mode, 24p content is simply played 5 frames at a time. That means just by keeping it in filmmaker mode, there's no 3:2 pulldown or judder at all, so 24p content looks the way it should for both modern and retro TV shows and movies. One quick tip if you're watching older content with lots of film grain, make sure the TV isn't too bright for the room. That might seem kind of obvious to some people, but if you're in a dark room, just turning down the OLED brightness helps to make film grain blend in better, and that might be all some people need. Here's some other tips you might find helpful. First, quickly pressing the green button on the remote 7 to 10 times brings up more detailed info about the signal being sent. It seems to work fine with HDMI sources, but it doesn't work with any of the built-in apps. Next, the ads on the home screen can get annoying, so to disable them, go to General, System, Additional Settings, and Home Settings. Disable both Home Promotion and Content Recommendation to make the home screen less noisy, and if you'd rather not see it at all, you could go into Power On Screen and just set it to boot to the last input it was in. Now let's talk about how the TV works for gamers. First and most importantly, always make sure it's in game mode before playing. If you have a modern console, high-end scaler, or PC, I also suggest switching to the HDMI input you're using for gaming, then going to Settings, General, External Devices, and HDMI Settings. Set 444 pass-through to On to allow the full color range. I also turn on quick media switching as well. Then go to HDMI Deep Color and make sure it's set to 4K for that input so no colors are compressed from your game consoles, PC, or scalers. While all those advanced settings should persist, these TVs save different settings for each input, resolution, and refresh rate. So whenever I start new content, I always just press that one button on the remote and double check which mode it's in to make sure that it matches whatever I'm doing, gaming or movies. Now let's talk about lag, which is crucial for anyone using this TV to play video games of any kind. 720p and 1080p sources at 60 Hz add about 9 milliseconds of lag with the TV's basic game mode settings on. If you send the TV 1080p or 4K at its native resolutions of 120 or 144 Hz, the TV is about 2 seconds faster. It's showing the same 9 milliseconds here as the scaler I'm using to achieve 4K 120 adds about 2 milliseconds. Note that turning on HDR from your source seems to add a frame of lag, unless you also enable VRR. As long as your source has a variable refresh rate enable flag, this will never be an issue, but it's something to note. Just remember to toggle VRR on along with HDR for gaming. That said, if your sources are 60 Hz without VRR or HDR, I suggest enabling Boost Mode. To enable it, go into the main settings, General, and Game Optimizer. You have to enable it via the toggle in the upper right, then scroll down to Prevent Input Delay, and Enable Boost Mode. Enabling this mode appears to set the TV to a native 60 Hz mode. If you look closely, you can see the screen refreshing only once with Boost Mode enabled, but you could see it refreshing twice per frame with it disabled, as 120 Hz displays have to draw 60 frame signals twice per frame in order to match the native frame rate. Since you're now technically running the TV in its native refresh rate with all extra features off, the lag drops to less than 2 milliseconds. That's really, really good, and you should definitely try this mode if you just need a basic gaming display in 720p, 1080p, or 4K, all at 60 or 50 Hz. Moving on, if you send it a 480p 60 signal in 16:9 mode, it's also 9 milliseconds, but setting it to 4:3 in any mode still seems to have that one frame of lag issue that previous models had. I'm not sure why this happens, and the total lag is about 26 milliseconds if you use the TV to shrink content from 16:9 to 4:3. Sending in a 480i signal resulted in about 34 milliseconds of lag, or about 2 frames. This obviously won't matter if you're just watching TV or movies, but if you're playing retro video games, definitely use a modern scaler to deinterlace. Overall, this TV is awesome for gamers. Just always make sure to enable game mode. If your source has HDR enabled, also enable VRR on the source as well. And of course, if you're playing any retro video game content, it's best to use a scaler, especially for anything 480p or lower. And of course, TV and movies look amazing as well. Just always make sure filmmaker mode is enabled when watching that content for the best experience.